Hey guys. So I wanted to tell you that this is the last chapter of this book, excluding the epilogue. It hurts just saying it, but I feel like this is where it has to end. I really had lots of fun writing this book, and I thank you all for reading this and staying with me till the end. I really love you guys, and I'm sorry that I couldn't make it longer. Also, I have a request. There's this Instagram account I really like dedicated to Awari no Seraph. The owner just said that their goal is to reach 20k followers till January 12th, and I would like to help, even if just a little. So if there are some amongst you who like Awari no Seraph, would you please follow them? This is the account. Awari.no Jeffrey. Again, thank you so much for reading this book and helping me reach so many views in such a short time. I love y'all, and I hope you'll enjoy the ending of the story just as much as the rest of it. There was a nice breeze blowing her raven hair back as the moon made it glow. Her golden earrings were shining brighter than the stars on the dark sky. Standing there, with that peaceful, yet thoughtful expression on her face and with her white skin only lightened by the moon's silver shine, she was truly beautiful. Snake Princess. Margaret bowed before her princess. Even though she did it before, this time she knew it was meaningful. What is it that you want, Margaret? The woman calmly spoke, still not getting her eyes off of the dark horizon. I wanted to thank you. The blonde girl spoke sincerely. You already did that, didn't you? I did, but I could have never do it properly in front of the rest of the crew. Thank you, she said and bowed deeply in front of her leader. I guess that even your majesty can give up on Luffy in situations like these. Hancock let a small, sly smile form on her face. Margaret couldn't see it, though, of course. We were dealing with a whole fleet of Marines there, after all, she then said, trying to play dumb. The blonde girl made a short pause and smiled understandingly, then spoke, yes. Then, after another moment of silence, good night, Snake Princess. Hancock waited until she heard a door close behind her subordinate, then sighed, the smile still imprinted on her face. So that's how it is, huh? Carrot carrot carrot. Robin-chan. Sanji's light footsteps made a nice sound on the wooden deck that seemed to fit perfectly in the silence of the night. Shouldn't you be sleeping? The blond man asked, full of concern for his comrade while leaning a little over the railing, his back at the ocean. It's been a few stressful days. I bet you're tired. Then, it goes the same for you, isn't that right? Robin smiled, turning her head to the right, to face Sanji. Hey, I guess that's right. However, I just can't seem to close an eye. Me neither. Oh. You guys are still awake. Zoro said, walking towards the two. Having trouble with your sleep too? Promoted stories. You'll also like A Pirate with One Punch 44.8k 1.7 Kone. Peace XOPM. Reader. And quat, YN and quat. Degree, degree, degree. Filled circle, hollow circle degree. Degree, degree. What's your choice going to be? Zoro x Tash. 51,437 with Tashigi getting left behind by the G5 due to the Joker sending too many ships for the G5 and the Strafuts to handle. They have to figure out a escape to get to TH. Wings of the Grand Line, One Piece X Mail R.5 1.6k 2.3k and quad. Could these people bring justice to my home? And quad, after barely escaping his homeland, YN wandered the Grand Line, searching for those who could help him right. Gorgeous Blue, One Piece Live Action, Nami 25.5k 1k and quad. Ocean. Blue eyes looking in mine, I feel like I might sink and drown and die. And quad. A simple girl, daughter of a pirate captain, meets the future and quad, king. 3D2YA One Piece fanfic, 374k 6.3k Luffy. stumbles upon Nami by chance on a small island after the crew was separated at Sabayati Archipelago. The two decide to train together, but then comes the warm, weird. The God Fruit One Piece 27.6K 669. The Straw Hat Pirates, after defeating Doflamingo, depart from their newfound friends and make their way back into the New World. They end up on a small summer island sea. Memories of the Grand 5.5K 257 1. Piece characters reacting, the amazing, hilarious, and tear-jerking moments from the story and their fandom, like edits, fan arts, ship, and more. The people awak. A nod from both Robin and Sanji answered the green-haired's question. Zoro then smirked and, sitting on the deck, opened a bottle of sake. It's been awfully quiet around these days, huh? I don't think I like that. Sanji chuckled while exhaling the smoke that seemed to be glowing in the moonlight. Robin just giggled then, on a somehow nostalgic, yet impatient voice, she spoke more to herself, tomorrow, huh? Carrot carrot carrot. Nami rolled on her other side for the 100th time that night. No matter how hard she tried, she just didn't manage to fall asleep. There were so many things on her mind that kept bothering her and they all led to only one person. Only she could tell how impatient she was regarding the meeting with the rest of the crew. She wanted to talk to Robin so much, knowing that her friend would definitely tell her something to ease up her mind a little. What's with all this? I don't understand. We both act like we're together, but does Luffy even think anything of it? I mean, he's so innocent. The first wouldn't be surprised if he thought I was cold every time he hugged me, and last night, when he asked me to sleep with him, it might have just been because, being so close to Sabo, he was reminded of Ace and was afraid of having nightmares again. Maybe he just wanted to have someone he trusted by his side. And let's assume he really likes me. What then? Am I ever going to be able to take initiative? Will he ever say something to me? Does he even know what he's feeling? All these thoughts would cross the orange-haired girl's mind within a second. She didn't even have to wonder why she was unable to sleep. Those feelings had already started bothering her. Well, the fact that she didn't have the courage to do anything was actually bothering her. She was tired of thinking, I wish this moment'd last forever, or, why can't I do anything to show him what I feel? Whenever Luffy would take her hand, hug her, or even express his feelings through all of his gestures. She had grown tired of waiting, every day, for him to do something, for him to reach out to her again. She had grown tired of not being able to show him how much she treasured every moment they had together. It was about time she stopped waiting and started doing something herself. So what if Luffy didn't actually like her? Their bond was a lot deeper than just those feelings, so she knew for sure, there was no way they would become distant, no matter the outcome. Tomorrow I'm gonna talk to him. Carrot carrot carrot. Laying on his back on the big, soft bed, Luffy has been staring at the ceiling for a few hours now. Unlike Nami, he didn't feel so uneasy because he knew from the very beginning what he had to do. He just couldn't find the courage to do it. With every day that passed, his heart felt heavier and it became harder and harder to hold back. He knew that talking to her would also make everything easier for him, and yet look at him hesitating every time he had a chance. It wasn't like him at all, thinking a situation over and over, reaching the same conclusion every time, and still not doing anything in that direction. It looked like the child in him just wouldn't let him act based on instinct this one time. That sweet, pure child in him that made him so easily excited, so instinctive, also made him feel powerless in situations of these kind. A loud noise pierced the silence, making Luffy put both of his hands on his growling stomach. That was, most probably, one of the biggest reasons why he couldn't sleep. Ah, I knew I had to eat more. but I had to stop because Nami said that it wasn't nice to make the cook stay up so late just for me, the raven-haired boy pouted. He rolled on his stomach and, after a few moments of silence, a grin appeared on his face. Well, this fridge doesn't have a lock like back home on the Sunny. Shishishi. He laughed while getting out of bed. Slowly opening the door, he looked to his left, then to his right. The hallway was clear and you couldn't hear a sound. With an impatient look on his face and with his stomach growling, he started heading to the kitchen. It could be anything, even raw meat. He just wanted something to fill his bottomless stomach. The luck didn't seem to have left him that night as he found some leftovers from dinner. There was a lot of good, cooked meat in the fridge. With star-shaped eyes, he reached out to the delicious pork in front of him and started eating, not minding to close the fridge. Suddenly, the sound of an opened door could be heard. Right after, some footsteps. Luffy stopped eating and, with his mouth full, he remained completely still so he could hear everything outside the kitchen. It was the middle of the night, so who in the world could be walking around? Well, considering the fact that that huge buildings hosted a whole army, it wasn't that strange that someone woke up in time for Luffy's midnight snack. Quickly grabbing everything he found delicious in the fridge, the raven-haired boy closed the fridge door and got out of the kitchen in a hurry. After all, he could eat in his room and no one would ever find him out there, too. Once in his room, he took a big bite of the delicious meat. He had already eaten a lot, but of course there was no way some meat from a tiny fridge would satisfy his hunger. Oh, that's right, I shouldn't eat inside my room. If, even the slightest trace of food is found, Sabo'll know it was me who stole the food. Not that he wouldn't know anyway. Well, I guess I'll eat on the balcony. Carrot, carrot, carrot. A loud noise, coming from Luffy's room, made the orange-haired girl jump out from bed. What the hell happened? She worryingly mumbled while taking big steps towards the room next to her. Oi, Luffy, are you Alrig? Nami's sweat dropped at the sight of her captain laying in the floor, with his hand holding a big piece of meat up. Phew, the meat's safe, the raven-haired boy said, obviously relieved. Oh, Nami, I'm sorry, did I wake you up? And no, I couldn't sleep anyway. Rather than your apology, I'd like to receive some explanation. It's the middle of night, Luffy. This isn't Sunny. You can't just go ahead and empty up their fridge over the night, but I can't do that on the Sunny either. Luffy protested. Sanji only rarely forgets to lock up the fridge. And when he does, we wake up in the morning to an empty fridge and with nothing to eat. Ah, Luffy pouted. Don't get mad at me now. I didn't eat enough at dinner. Alright, never mind that. How did you end up on the ground, then? Nami sighed. Just the same childish captain as ever. With all that, she almost forgot why she has been unable to fall asleep. Oh, that. I just tripped while trying to get out on the balcony. I though I should eat out so I wouldn't let traces of food in the room. I see. Nami, Luffy whispered while getting up. He was now so close to the orange-haired girl that he could feel her breath on his chin. What is it? Nami startled, her cheeks like tomatoes and her heart beating too fast for her to control. Well, not like she could control anything when being around Luffy. After a moment of silence, Luffy finally spoke on such a childish voice. Please don't tell Sabo I was the one to steal the food. His big, innocent eyes made Nami giggle. That was one of the things she loved the most about him. She was still wondering how she, such a serious person, fell for him. I think he'll know very well that it was you, she then laughed, while stepping out on the small balcony. She then sat on the fence, Luffy doing the same. Well, if you stole it anyway, let's make good use of it, she then said while taking the meat from Luffy's hand and taking a big bite out of it. Shishishi. The raven-haired boy laughed while chewing something he stole from the fridge. He didn't even know what it was. This meat is raw, Nami stated with amusement. Sorry, I ate the cooked one that remained from dinner in the kitchen already. It's fine, the orange-haired girl giggled. You could have just as well steal some sake, she then said with a smile. Shishishi, you sounded like Zoro just now. Well, I guess I did. Both Nami and Luffy couldn't stop smiling. There was such a relaxed atmosphere between the two. The tension that used to exist seemed to have vanished somewhere along the way. Was it because Nami's feelings wouldn't waver anymore? Or because she had finally decided on what to do? It didn't matter to any of them, anyway. A comfortable silence made its presence known for a few moments in which Luffy couldn't stop staring at the orange-haired girl who was looking up at the starry sky. The light of the stars reflected in her eyes filled with admiration made her too beautiful for words. What was it again? That thing he was so scared of? Her rejecting him? No, of course not. He could have lived with just that. All of his fears and hesitations all came from that one thought. What if she'll if she'll distance herself from me? What if nothing's ever gonna be the same? How stupid he was. The person in front of him was the kindest and the most rational. They all had a much deeper bond that could never be torn apart by something like that. It was just like Sabo said. With those thoughts in mind, he took a deep breath and spoke. Say, Nami, the raven-haired boy almost whispered, making the orange-haired girl pay attention. That whisper of his, anyway, was full of conviction and nothing else. Not a trace of hesitation. He was Luffy after all. When going for it, he never wavered, never looked back, only ahead. Do you know what love is? He asked rhetorically, not because he didn't really expect an answer, but also because he knew the answer. Of course she knew. I didn't. He then continued sincerely. That until I started experiencing it, his words made Nami stop breathing. What was he saying all of a sudden? Does he even know what he's saying? Why is he bringing this up now? And I'm not talking about the love I have for Ace of Sabo or Grandpa. Or about the love I have for you guys as your captain. The other guy said it is a kind of love you bear for the one you want to spend the rest of your life with. Nami felt all of her veins fill with blood as her heart was pumping it at an unbelievable speed. Her face was turning red and her hands started shaking as he spoke. Well, at first, I, too, thought that this word, love, described very well what I felt, but as time passed, it felt insufficient to put my feelings into words. Oi oi oi, he's serious here. Who is he talking about then? Where is this conversation going? Nami couldn't stop her racing heart, nor her shaking hands. That was a feeling that could never be described in words. Despite him being all serious, Luffy never let go of his childish self, thing that confused Nami even more. Putting that aside, ever since she realized Luffy knew what he was talking about, she couldn't stop wondering. Who is that person he's mentioning? Who is that someone he loves so much that this word, love, wouldn't be enough to describe his feelings? It wasn't her he was talking about, right? There was no way. As all those disturbing and painful thoughts crossed the orange-haired girl's mind, Luffy kept talking. As the days passed, it became harder and harder to hold back from kissing her. As the days passed, my heart would feel like exploding from emotion when she smiled, when she laughed. In those moments, I thought that if I could wake up to that warm, breathtakingly beautiful smile every day, there wouldn't be anything else to wish for. As he spoke, his fingers crossed with hers and his eyes were fixated on her. His heart connected with hers when he pulled her in a warm hug. Their heartbeats matched. He then distanced a little to be able to look straight in her eyes, but not enough to put more than 2 centimeters between them. Then, With a warm voice and a look that reflected all of his love in his eyes, he spoke. It's you, Nami. I love you. Those simple, yet so effective words of his, made the orange-haired girl lose herself for a moment there. She felt like she was going to faint but also full of energy. It felt like a blessing but almost like a curse. Her heart felt like exploding but she never felt more alive than in that moment. Those mix of feelings made her forget about everything and she just stood there, staring at the one she loved so much with tears in the corners of her eyes. Without even realizing it, she put her hands around his neck and, in the blink of an eye, their lips were touching in such a soft, yet passionate kiss. That moment that both of them have been longing for. That moment when their lips touched, the moment when they connected like never before was too beautiful for words. Everything surrounding them felt like vanishing, they being the only two left in the whole universe. They stopped the kiss because of the lack of air, but none of them took their eyes off of each other. And then, while gently placing her hand on Luffy's cheek, Nami spoke full of emotion. I love you too. A wide, happy grin from Luffy made the orange-haired girl giggle with affection. She let her body rest in her captain's arms and looked at the starry sky. She didn't know what would come next. They had to explain that situation to Sabo and Koala and to their crew. It would be complicated, but in that very moment, she didn't even care. She was to go with the flow and what will be for now. Anyway, she thought that her life couldn't be happier with him next to her. Hey, the moon really is beautiful tonight. Where stories live. Discover now.